Hey all, first and foremost, I just wanted to say that I've come down with a fever for the week, so if I sound a little bit different in audio, that's the reason why. But either way, I hope you guys enjoy the vid. Alright, so I'm gonna have to do everything in my power to not make some sort of stupid puns involving the electric type. What puns? Don't worry about it. Anyways, you know how this goes. No Megas, no Z, no G-Max, no super legends like Viridian and Zekrom. Everything here can do the Terra in the current metagame, except like 3 of them. And they don't particularly need it anyways, to be honest. They're good without it. And Terra would make them even better. If you want to Terra them, go play Nat decks. Although, now that I think about it, most of these Pokemon will probably just Terra Ice because that's their main way of killing the infamous ground type. But before we start, y'all know the usual. Mismagius, Pokemon Crystal Clear, and Wind Waker HD Let's Plays. Links will be in the description below. And I will be taking the week off from uploading because of my fever when it comes to the gaming channel. So yeah. But now with that said, let's get this party started with our first entry. Honorable mentions. Galvantula and Iron Thorns are cool, but they got segments in different videos, so they can chill here. Sandy Shocks is very much a Pokemon that exists. It has a cool typing of Electric and Ground, which, thanks to actually having good stats, we finally have a Pokemon of this combination that's better than Stunfisk. Booster Energy at this point is just to add insult to injury. Either way, I'm just glad we have an Electric and Ground type Pokemon that is, for lack of a better term, good. Stealth Rocks and Spikes are a very potent combination, and Volt Switch adds extra utility to the Hazard variant. Or you could play an all-out attacking set with Thunderbolt, Earth Power, and then Terra Blast Ice, because Terra Blast Ice does exactly what you expect it to do. You know where this is going. Nice Landorus and Gliscor, chump. Thundurus is just a good Pokemon all around. Although, there's a reason that Therian is considered to be better. Well, there are a few. Volt Switch, letting you functionally be a ground type, ice weakness and all, is really nice. Base 101 speed isn't the worst, and actually works pretty well for what it wants to do. And then it whips out a heaping whopping base 145 special attack. I don't know why they felt the need to do this, but who am I to question the great minds of Game Freak? Typically, you're gonna either run a Scarf, Specs, or Boots on this bad boy, last I checked. And typically, with Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, and Grass Knot to defeat exactly what you'd expect to need to beat. For the 4th move, typically it'll either run Weather Ball or Terra Blast depending on the team. But you can't really go wrong with, let's say, Nasty Plot in case your special attack wasn't high enough. Weirdly, this one doesn't run Terra Blast Ice, because they never gave Thundurus special attacking Flying Stab. So Terra Flying Terra Blast is just kind of your best option. And hey, it does the job. Electric Hariyama is an enigma to me. I never quite understood the schematics of how this Pokemon worked. Apparently, it's the modified form of an athlete, which, yikes. But hey, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to survive in this world. What confuses me about Iron Hands is that its hands aren't attached to anything. They're just floating there. Is Iron Hands a magnetic pull? And the hands are magnetic? If so, what happens if a magnet pull Magnezone is near it? Will Iron Hands lose its hands and therefore lose the matchup? Why is it so bulky? Who thought it was a good idea to give it Swords Dance and Drain Punch on the same set? Whose idea was it to modify that athlete? These are questions where I don't have answers and, oh, and I forgot. You want me to talk about how good it is, not ponder the ramifications of this thing's existence. Fair enough. Well, a Terra Flying set with Swords Dance, Ice Punch, Drain Punch, and Thunder Punch does the job in singles, especially when accompanied with leftovers. Because those 3 moves combined hit most Pokemon in the game, and stats like these, you're not doing much back to it, and you're taking massive damage in the process. Only reason I don't rate it higher is because it's hard to fit on teams in comparison to some of the other Pokemon on this list, but it's still annoying and broken. How do I usually beat it? Willowwisp, Willowwisp, and Prayer. Rotom is an incredibly versatile Pokemon that is probably the most forms in the game outside of Arceus itself. However, the one that actually stands out is Rotom Wash, and for exactly the reasons you'd expect. Being only weak to grass is amazing for it, because Levitate, letting it float above ground moves, is awesome. While being locked into Hydro Pump sucks, what doesn't suck is the amazing combination of moves this Pokemon can use. Willowwisp, Pain Split, Thunder Wave, and Volt Switch are all amazing moves to use. I love the Choice Scarf variant with Trick to cripple walls myself. And then there are crazy solid offensive sets with Nasty Plot and Thunderbolt to use the natural bulk it has to strike fear into the enemy. It doesn't have any true weaknesses outside of the fact that with every gen, its stats slowly become more and more mediocre. But as of right now, this Pokemon is great, and looking at it makes me think of Scizor, and I love Scizor. Given that I'm talking about a wiry Christmas tree, I probably should have made this video sooner, but alas, that wasn't what happened. I just randomly wanted to talk about electric types one day, and well, Xurkitree is one of those. While all of its other stats are kind of mediocre, having a base 173 special attack is going to get people looking at you for one reason or another. I like to play Z Hypnosis back in the day to raise my speed and then get my attacks off, but sadly, that isn't optimal as much as it is gimmicky. Beast Boost, raising its special attack every time it gets a KO, as a Pokemon that is going to be KOing stuff a decent bit, is great. And that Energy Ball and Dazzling Gleam to conveniently nail Ground and Dragon is just icing on the already delectable cake. I love this guy, and I think he's awesome as hell. And I'm sad it isn't in Gen 9, but that will never stop me from loving how silly and stupid strong it is. You typically play Scarf to make up for its speed and Volt Switch for pivoting, but stuff like Specs and Leftovers also works, especially if you're using Leftovers in tandem with the absurdly good Tail Glow, and you have Sticky Web support to compensate for having no speed. With that, have fun sweeping. I was originally going to rate my boy higher, but I realized in a sense, I was kind of just coping a little. Let me explain. You see, I think Sand is pretty awesome, right? I love Hippowdon, but I just don't feel in the mood to use Excadrill. If only there was some sort of cool and awesome way to not need to use Excadrill, and what if I had another Sandrush Sweeper with some sort of broken move? But unfortunately, those probably don't exist. Luckily for us, we can just go make an abomination of nature that gets Bolt Beak, which doubles in power when going first, which we're going to be doing in Sand. That's it. None of its other moves matter. If you remove the opposing ground type, you get to play Banded Bolt Beak in Sand, and pretty much hit everything. It's awesome. What about Choice Scarf Hustle outside of Sand? Yeah, that's fine too, if you like missing. I'm gonna go play Hippowdon and ensure rocks get up, and that I don't miss, thank you very much. Oh yeah, Dragon typing is sick, but it both is and isn't good defensively here. It's kinda weird. So, I'm not particularly the greatest fan of Raging Bolt, or, if you're cultured, Great Neck, but I'm sure I'll learn to love it with time. Anyways, I originally wanted to make the incredibly hot take and say that Dracozolt is better actually, but I couldn't come up with a real argument. Thunderclap being special attack Sucker Punch and coming off of a base 137 special attack stat? Yeah, that's gonna hurt. It's also got Calm Mind, it's Dragon and Electric Stabs, Weather Ball if you're using this on Sun and want to make Photosynthesis even more nightmarish, and then, if you really need it, Terra Blast of some kind to hit something it's weak to, or just avoid dying. and it's at the very least versatile enough to get away with playing whatever item it feels like. Lefties, Assault Vest, Booster Energy, and Choice specs all have proven to be at least solid, if not amazing on it. My beef with it is that I think he looks a little too silly for his own good personally. That, and while I think its stat spread is awesome, I prefer my threats to be faster. Although I get the appeal behind the bulky priority spam. I cannot believe they made Paradox King Gambit. The immortal bird itself, Zapdos. The bane of my physical attacker's existence. Because, for some reason, bro can just kinda sit there. Its defenses are good enough, especially when combined with heavy-duty boots to say no to rocks. To just kind of sit there and never die while racking up damage with a combination of Heat Wave and Volt Switch. Some run Hurricane, some run Discharge, and all of them run Roost because why wouldn't they? That's part of what makes it unkillable. It sponges hits with its bulk, deals excellent damage with its base 125 special attack, and then, to make matters worse, if I touch it, there's a chance that I'll just stop moving and my speed will get cut in half. This means that hitting U-turn, which is normally a good move, becomes a risk against this stupid creature. Seeing it in the team preview causes me headaches. Worse than the one I have right now, by the way. God forbid they start running Thunderwave. God forbid they start running Thunderwave because they weren't getting lucky with static. Well, this Pokemon just kind of makes all electric types better by just existing. The Guardian of Super Smash Bros. Melee Island simply existing, alongside the rest of the Tapoos, has warped the meta. But this is the Tapoo we're going to be specifically talking about because it's arguably the best of the four anyways. And it, I don't know, is the type of the video. Now, with that said, sadly, I can't get any sleep because Tapu Koko's electric terrain is still up. And this video was written at a time where maybe I should go to bed. Like this video to remove the electric terrain with defog so I can catch some Z's. Please. I've talked about it in the fairy video. So, to keep this segment brief, Tapu Koko can run a myriad of moves, all with either excellent coverage or support capabilities, is typically a special attacker, and is as good as it is because electric terrain lets it turn Hawlucha into a monster. If allowed in Gen 9, well, thank goodness, Sneasler is banned. But it would still buff Iron Valiant and Iron Hand so drastically that it wouldn't be funny. It would just be tragic because the metagame wouldn't last a week with Tapu Koko in it. Why not just use Pinkerton? Well, Pinkerton doesn't get Volt Switch. That's why. I mean, yeah, I don't know what you expect from me here. It's faster than Deoxys Speed, who was supposed to be the fastest Pokemon ever. But then Regigigas decided he had a great idea and created a horror beyond our comprehension. I'm not even gonna build up to the idea of what if it just has no way to hit ground types as a bit? Terra Ice Terra Blast kills Great Tusk. It's that simple. Even with Transistor's nerf from Gen 8 to Gen 9, Regieleku's electric attacks hit hard, even coming off of a base 100 special attack. It also, thanks to its speed, has Dragapult syndrome of can just do stuff because it's fast. Screens, spinning, and offense are the main ways to play it, and all of them run Volt Switch because, yeah, pivoting is good. Go figure. Sure, it's arguably this busted entirely because Terra Ice Terra Blast, but hey, that's the game. I don't make the rules. Alright, I went through the entire script without making an electric joke. Thank goodness. Now I'm gonna stay awake until the likes on this video remove the electric terrain and I can pass out. The B-type? What's your favorite terrain? Mine's Psychic, because expanding force and no Sucker Punch. Get bodied, King Gambit. Stupid chess, man.